Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Game of Thrones Episode 9 Q&A. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen the episode yet. There was an overwhelming number of questions about a couple of the leaps in logic and a couple of the questionable decisions the characters made, so I'll just start off with those just because there was so many people asking a couple of the same questions. So first question, why didn't Sansa tell Jon about Littlefinger's army? And I think there are two likely scenarios assuming that Sansa's a good person, she likes Jon Snow, but she doesn't trust him to do the right thing. So she's worried that if she tells Jon, then Jon will do something that will make them lose the battle, like he'll act out of passion, which he ended up doing anyway, which is another part of the second part of this answer. Like the second answer to this question is the show wanted to get to a certain point, like it knew the target it wanted to hit. It wanted to have Jon Snow running around the battlefield covered in mud, this crazy fight between him and Ramsay, so it wasn't as concerned with being absolutely faithful to real life or all the logical moments as it was with getting to this really awesome payoff moment where Gandalf rides in with his surprise army to Helm's Deep. I think it's a combination of those two things. Like, you get the idea from the teaser for the next episode that Sansa doesn't fully trust Jon Snow, even though she loves him, but she's been so victimized by what's happened with Ramsay that she just can't trust anyone. So that leads her to make questionable decisions. And two, the show wanted to get to a couple really awesome payoff moments, and it wasn't quite as concerned with logic as it was with getting to those big moments. And the other big general question that everyone had, I already kind of just answered this in my Sansa question, but what's up with all the plot holes with characters doing questionable things? Wouldn't it have been easier for Ramsay to shoot Jon Snow rather than the Giant? Well, that's also the show wanting to get to big payoff moments. Like, it wanted to have that moment with Jon Snow just beating him into the ground with his fists, so it wasn't quite as worried with Ramsay doing the perfectly logical thing of just trying to shoot Jon Snow. So I think that largely answers a lot of the questionable decisions the characters made in the episode. But there were a couple other funny questions like that, so I made sure to include at least one Daenerys one in the Q&A. So here we go. Next question, Ryan asks, why did Rickon not run in a zigzag pattern? Run serpentine. Yeah, everybody was shouting this on Twitter. It's because the showrunner said that there was no way that Rickon was going to survive, so they probably felt like that was the best time for him to go. They wanted a really cinematic looking death, and that Dan and Dave explained after the episode that there was no way Ramsay was going to let Rickon live. So there was no version of the events in this episode where Rickon walked away. So if you're going to kill him off, you might as well do it in like some fun way. But it was funny that he ran in a very Prometheus type way. Like where, giant tower is running down, so what do? You just run in a straight line. So you get to that death even if it's not completely logical. Next question, Jedi Master Cheryl asks, what do you think will happen with the remaining Umbers and Karstarks now that the Starks are back in control of Winterfell? Well, they'll probably fall in line, or somebody else will take over their territory. Typically, like, that's what happens with Harrenhal. Like, it gets given to other people. So the Carhold, if there aren't other Karstarks that fall in line, they'll just give the Carhold to someone else. The North is one of those places that's rich in land, but very poor in population, just because it's so hard to grow crops up there, so the population isn't quite as big as, say, like in the Reach, but there is a lot of land to go around. Next question, Glory asks, why is one dragon bigger than the others? Well, dragons in captivity, Tyrion has said this, the show hasn't, really fully explained dragon lore, but dragons in captivity never grow as large as they naturally would if they were able to roam free. So Drogon has been roaming free this whole time, he's been eating as much as he wants, he's the apex predator right now, so he just eats whenever he feels like it. So there's been nothing to hinder his growth, but the other dragons have only been fed piecemeal, like they feed them every once in a while. They've been kept under the pyramid, chained up. So animals in captivity never thrive. So now that they're out, they'll start growing a little bit faster. Dan and Dave explained after the episode that at this point, as we're seeing him here, they're not quite fully grown. So Drogon himself will also get a little bit larger, even though he's already really big. Next question, Jojo asks, can Dany and Yara just hook up? That'd be cool. Well, they haven't really explained it on the show, but in the books, Dany is kind of pansexual. She'll just, have sex with women every once in a while. People like Eerie that the TV show has cut out. They've presented TV show Daenerys as being a little more heterosexual thus far, but in the books, she does have sex with women. So she and Yara are both kind of up for anything, as Yara said on the TV show. That's actually book accurate. I know a lot of people were like, oh, Yara's a lesbian because she's having sex with a woman. No, she's just pansexual like Oberyn Martell. Oberyn Martell does not discriminate who he has sex with. He has sex with men, he has sex with women, but that doesn't mean that he's gay or straight. He, Yara, Daenerys, they're all kind of like sexual omnivores. Next question, Priscilla asks, do you think that Sansa's pregnant? If so, what do you think would happen? Well, first I'll say no, I don't think she's pregnant. I think that what Ramsay said was a metaphor, and if she were pregnant, they have moon tea for stuff like that. Moon tea is kind of like the Westerosi equivalent of the morning after pill. So Cersei, for instance, she talks about the baby she lost with Robert. There was like one baby that ended up dying. All the other times that she had sex with Robert, the morning after, she would drink moon tea. So jumping through a couple logic hoops, I wouldn't be surprised if Sansa tried to do the same thing whenever she was with Ramsay during season 5. But when Ramsay was talking about a piece of him being inside her, he was talking more about the seed of evil, not the actual seed of his genetic material. So instead of a baby growing inside Sansa, evil is growing inside Sansa. That's how he was trying to get inside her head. He was just trying to mess with her. Next question, Nameless asks, will all the other houses of the North kneel to Jon Snow now? Well, I think they'll all kneel to Winterfell. Questionable as to whether or not that's going to be Jon Snow leading all those people. The real order of the day now is in uniting everyone now that the conflict is over, because we have to get ready for the War for the Dawn. There's still a lot of things that have to happen before we get to that, but I think now that this is over, the North will start rebuilding, and I think Littlefinger, part of his plot will be involved with it, like strengthening the bond between the Vale and Winterfell. I think even if people don't specifically start following Jon Snow, like thinking of him as a leader, they'll at least start following the lead of the Starks. But I think by rights, Sansa will inherit Winterfell, so technically she'd be in charge, but she seems like she would defer to Jon Snow on certain decisions, so I think it's going to be both Sansa and Jon Snow kind of looking to each other to make decisions about things in the near term. Next question, Sukani asks, am I the only one that didn't like the way Emilia Clarke delivered the line, Dracarys? So this was one of those other funny questions about the show, not quite pulling off the thing it was going for. You have to remember that this was all green screen, so I think they wanted to have like this, powerful moment for Daenerys, even though it came across as kind of comical. It's the same thing with this Sansa smirk right here. It wanted to give her this smirking moment like, ha, look at what I've done to you, Ramsay. I have this surprise army, but in order to get there, it threw logic under the bus. This whole conflict that should have arguably been going on for an entire season was wrapped up in a single day, so it's just like the show jumping over a couple logical moments, so it winds up being kind of funny when it's meant to be this really powerful moment. So this is kind of like Game of Thrones going full Michael Bay Transformers, like a moment that isn't fully earned, but you kind of understand what they're going for, so you can forgive it, you can not forgive it. It's totally understandable if you want to be upset with the show about stuff like this. Next question, Maureen asks, I wonder if there'll be a moment in the North where the dispute will suddenly become moot because there's word of White Walkers breaching the wall. So yeah, I definitely think there'll be a moment where everyone will just turn and look up the North and be like, oh my god, what is this army of the dead? They've had a couple moments where Jon Snow tries to tell Lyanna Mormont about the Night King. I think it was actually Davos that mentioned the Night King when they were trying to get her to help them out. But the North are very practical people, so I think until they see something, they're not going to totally believe it. Next question, Rakesh asks, will the Night King follow Bran south of the wall, being able to defeat its magic because of the mark he left on him? So yeah, a lot of people are wondering if the mark that Bran has on him is the key to them getting south of the wall. Because the show has played it fast and loose with logic, I think there'll be some other stuff involved, some big oh shit magic involved where they bring stuff crashing down. So the local government actually asked the Game of Thrones people to leave it up as long as possible. The tourism is a big source of local revenue, so yeah, it would be cool if the entire wall went down, but the wall is so massive that would just be very impractical for the TV show, so I think only a small part of it will come crashing down. Thank you everyone for submitting questions. These are always a ton of fun to do. There'll be at least one more bonus video before my finale video on Sunday. There'll be a whole bunch of stuff happening next week after the finale too. They've already started talking about Season 7, confirming certain details, so I'll talk about that after I do my Season 7 predictions video. But be sure to subscribe to get everything, and actually congratulations to this week's giveaway winner. It's Drafty. You win a $20 Amazon gift card. Just be sure to private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. That's just on the About page. There's been a rumor that Wins a Winner isn't going to be out till January of next year, but I haven't seen any concrete evidence of that. So I'll keep people updated on the book as we do videos next week. But if there are any bonus videos that you guys want me to do in the off season, especially after the finale, just let me know in the comments. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here for my finale trailer, and you can click here for my episode 9 video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.